All right, welcome back to The Explainer. Today, we're diving straight into the massive and honestly somewhat silent upgrade of Claude Opus 4.8. We're going to dissect the source material's claims about its groundbreaking capabilities. And trust me, we've got a lot to unpack here. The source describes this release as an absolute smash home run, bringing in these huge hidden changes that weren't even fully detailed in the initial announcements.
So think about this for a second. What actually happens to your development pipeline when you unleash a literal swarm of AI agents working simultaneously? We're going to answer that exact question today. We'll be examining the highly anticipated features, the actual technical mechanics of how these agents coordinate, and some incredibly fascinating rumored origins of this new model that the source material brings to light.
Okay, here's our game plan. First, we'll look at how it's shattering AI benchmarks. Then, the mechanics of dynamic workflows. Third, unlocking ultra code mode. Fourth, enabling remote control features. And finally, mastering your AI focus. Let's get into it.
Starting off with Section 1, Shattering AI Benchmarks.
Okay, looking at the source's bold analysis, Opus 4.8 has basically dismantled the existing benchmarks. Specifically, it dethroned ChatGPT 5.5. Now, prior to this, 5.5 was considered the undisputed king of advanced coding tasks. But Opus 4.8 reportedly came right back and just smashed it, decisively reclaiming that coding crown, while leaving other competitors, like Google's offerings, way behind. It's a massive leap in raw capability.
But you know, it's not just about raw speed, right? The source points out a staggering 4 times reduction in AI hallucinations. When we're talking about coding hallucinations where the AI confidently writes totally incorrect or just fake code functions, well, that's your biggest bottleneck. So a 4x reduction? That literally means you're spending significantly less time debugging the AI's mistakes and way more time actually deploying functional software.
Now, this massive performance spike might have a really fascinating origin. The source speculates, and it's important to note this is without official confirmation, but they speculate that this leap is directly tied to Elon Musk's recent compute investment into Anthropic. We're talking tens of billions of dollars in compute power. The analysis suggests that Opus 4.8 might actually just be a slightly weakened version of Anthropic's highly rumored unreleased Mythos model. That's a model they've been teasing as outrageously powerful. And that matching 4x reduction in hallucinations, that's the specific clue the source uses to connect the dots.
Moving right along to Section 2, the mechanics of dynamic workflows.
So how is it actually achieving these benchmarks under the hood? It isn't just a slightly smarter brain, it is a completely new way of operating. Let's define exactly what this means. In previous models, if you asked an AI to build an app, it used single-agent linear processing, right? One agent writes some code, stops, reads some documentation, stops, writes more code. It was strictly sequential. Dynamic Workflows completely abandons that. It now has the capability to instantly deploy a decentralized swarm of specialized agents. Mechanically, the model itself dynamically decides when to break a task into parallel streams, spinning up this network without you ever having to prompt it to do so.
Just to put the scale of this into perspective, if you give Opus 4.8 a massive, complex code-based task, what the source calls a big, juicy, meaty, complex task, it reportedly spins up anywhere from tens to up to 10,000 sub-agents instantly. You're no longer just prompting an AI. You are basically managing a virtual development firm.
And here's how they actually coordinate to get months of work done in an afternoon. Think of it like a highly coordinated tech company. Through instantaneous state sharing, they prevent stepping on each other's toes. While one group of agents is busy modifying the front-end interface, another group is simultaneously conducting parallel research on API documentation. And at the exact same time, other agents are actively injecting code, testing the live application, and running instant regression tests to make sure nothing breaks. They are touching completely different pieces of your code base all at once. It's this incredible symphony of automated development happening in parallel, which is the mechanical secret behind its unbelievable speed.
All right, Section 3, Unlocking Ultra Code Mode.
Knowing this swarm is out there is great, but how do you properly unleash it within the interface? Well, Ultra Code Mode essentially hands Opus 4.8 the keys to the kingdom. By enabling this, you bypass standard compute limits, allowing the model to dynamically scale its own token usage and agent count purely based on the problem's complexity. You are giving the AI the autonomy to trigger those massive dynamic workflows whenever it deems the task complex enough to warrant it. You're basically handing over the reins and saying, use whatever compute you need to solve this problem.
Based directly on the source's analysis, we have a really solid tactical playbook here for configuring your environment. First up,
Fast mode is highly recommended now because it's 3 times cheaper than before, making it finally affordable on the $200 plan. Second, and this is a crucial tip, for your context window, stick to high by default. The source notes that if you try to use that massive million context window, performance actually degrades significantly. Third, turn on ultra code mode for those complex builds we just talked about, assuming you have the proper plan or API allowance. And finally, if you're using third-party tools like Hermes or Claude, wait 24 hours after a release before switching models. That just helps you avoid those inevitable day one API crashes.
Let's jump to Section 4, Enabling Remote Control Features.
So, let's see how this translates into powerful cross-device functionality. This is a somewhat hidden feature that is incredibly powerful if you like to code on the go. And the source outlines a very specific 5-step process to get it running. First, open your Claude Code desktop settings. Second, toggle on the setting that says Remote Control is active. Third, start a brand new chat session on your desktop. Fourth, open the Claude app on your phone or tablet. And fifth, just navigate to the code section in the top left of your mobile app to access the live chat. Doing this instantly syncs your desktop terminal straight to your phone. It effectively puts a massive, multi-threaded development team right in your pocket. And just to prove these aren't just theoretical numbers, the source actually validated these capabilities using a custom 3.js first-person shooter benchmark. They gave the AI total creative freedom, and Opus 4.8 generated a highly impressive, fully functional neon-themed game. We're talking advanced graphics, hit markers, combo systems, and enemy wave mechanics. It scored an outstanding 9.1 out of 10 and visibly blew past the outputs of the previous 4.7 model. It is absolute proof that the underlying dynamic workflows are delivering real, high-quality, complex applications.
Which brings us to our final part, Section 5, Mastering Your AI Focus.
With all this crazy automation, thousands of agents writing code, syncing to your phone, live testing apps, we have to seriously address our changing role as developers. I want you to hear this quote from the source carefully. This is going to allow you to do months of work in just one afternoon. I truly believe the #1 indicator of how successful someone will be in 2026 is their level of focus. The source forcefully points out a totally new trap. AI is enabling people to get wildly distracted. You hand Opus 4.8 a massive prompt, it spins up its 10,000 agents, and then you go doom scroll on social media for an hour. Meanwhile, the AI actually finished the task 50 minutes ago. If you're letting AI do the heavy lifting, your personal efficiency requires you to completely lock in.
So I want to leave you with this final thought to chew on. If complex coding execution is no longer the bottleneck because it's been solved by dynamic workflows and subagent swarms, is your own personal flow state and deep focus the only thing left that separates you from the competition? Put the phone away, close the extra tabs, and learn to focus while the machine works. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and I really hope this deep dive into the mechanics of Opus 4.8 helps you master your own dynamic workflows. Catch you next time.